Hello there, one and all, and thank you very much for tuning in to episode 551 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise, live on YouTube as always. And it just happens to be, at least in many, many countries around the world, perhaps not all, the first day of Eid al-Fitr. So Eid Mubarak to everybody who's celebrating it. I'm not sure if actually it is the first day of Eid in the UK, but I'm pretty sure it is the first day of Eid in the Middle East. Somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. First comment for this one goes to Alex. Hi Alex, who says, exciting, a new Habit Rouge. Absolutely. Hello Mr. P, says Alex, and hello to everyone. Scent of the day is Byzance by Rochas, the new version. Perfumed by the Sea is here as well, saying hello. Scent of the day, sadly, is the new Francis Kurkdjian Kirky. Really not enjoying it though. That was launched in the UK just a few days ago. I'm intrigued by the name. I mean, he should have called it Captain Kirk. He should have gone for one called. I haven't smelt it, but clearly you're not a fan. Mitra Kai says hi, hello. Xavi says a bit earlier today. Glad to see you again. I'm very glad to be seen. Glad to see all of you, at least in the live chat. Anyway. Floating Man says Eid Mubarak to all celebrating. Perfume of the day is Shalimar Tonka, says Tracy. Ah, how appropriate. I tried this yesterday, says Mitra Kai, and I'm curious what you think of it. Well, guess what? You are about to find out. Tina says all the best from Berlin. Floating Man says yes, it is today for some of us, while others will be celebrating. So this is Eid. We'll be celebrating it tomorrow based on moon visibility in their country. Correct. Thank you very much. Okay. A few usual bits and bobs of housekeeping. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please do consider doing so. And if you subscribe, then do yourself a favor and click on the little bell so that you get notifications of new videos. If you would like to find out how you can support my work, you should be able to see a link to my Ko-fi page in the video description below, as well as to my Substack. Whether you're watching live or you're watching the recording, you're very, very welcome. But very quickly, for the benefit of those of you watching live, we're planning to do two videos today, or I'm planning to do two videos today. A single perfume review of the new flanker of Habit Rouge, and then we'll come back with a sort of extended multi-perfume review, trying to tick off a few new and newish releases. So that's the plan. And Omar says you forgot to put the word spirit in the title. Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. I will be able to go back and do that after. So does it just say Habit Rouge? Okay. Sorry, apologies. I will go back and do that. At least that is something that you can retrospectively change. Right, so yes, we have a new Habit Rouge, and despite what the title of this video is telling you at the moment, it is called Habit Rouge Spirit. As far as I'm aware, it is a limited edition. I don't think it's actually available in UK Guerlain boutiques just yet, but it is available online. I'm pretty sure it must be available in France. And it's yet another example. We've got a few of these now in the industry of using the properties of aging and barrels in perfumery. They actually very, very proudly proclaim on the box that this is an exceptional fragrance blend perfected in oak barrels. I wonder if we're going to be seeing more and more of this sort of thing. It's a tricky, that whole kind of aging or maturing, macerating in oak barrels is a tricky thing to comment on, because of course the only way that you could make a meaningful comment as to whether the oak barrels have had an effect on the perfume, have had an influence on the perfume, is if you were to smell the exact same juice but a variant that hasn't been placed in oak barrels. So I've just got to take it at face value and talk about what it's, what it smells like. Basically what I'm saying is I have no idea if the oak barrels have had an effect. I would imagine they have had some sort of an effect. This perfume gave me a splinter, says Dahlia. Right, we have a pre-sprayed blotter. Let me label this one. I've been wearing this for the last couple of days. And it's been an interesting wear, actually. Right, let's we've done the spray, and let's delve into the world of Habit Rouge. As you know, it's a perfume that I can talk about at great length. It actually celebrates its 60th anniversary this year. Yes, the original Habit Rouge came out in 1965. If I had to choose a single all-time favourite perfume, and it's not something I like doing, but if I had to choose just one, it would be the EDT, the Eau de Toilette of Guerlain Habit Rouge, including in its current incarnation. I think it's in very, very good shape. I absolutely adore it. Nothing has ever, for me, fully taken the place of the EDT. Some maybe have come close, but nothing has actually usurped the EDT. So we're talking about a scent, A, that I adore, and B, that I know very, very well. You know, that Habit Rouge DNA is very, very familiar to me. So let's smell this one. Right. Smelling it now here with you, I kind of am thinking the same thing that I thought when I first smelt it, which is that it made me think a lot of Habit Rouge Dress Code, which was a flanker that came out 10 years ago to mark the 50th anniversary of Habit Rouge. That one was composed by Thierry Vasser. This one is credited to Delphine Jelk. And Dress Code, it is a fun take on Habit Rouge. It's a bit gourmandy, but the mention of Dress Code makes me want to share with you a thought that I hadn't really had before, even though I should have, but a thought that I finally had when I smelt this, which is that I think that the Habit Rouge universe, the Habit Rouge world, is now composed of sort of two halves. There is the sort of purist Habit Rouge. For those of you who've never smelt it, okay, it's considered to be the first. I mean, the Guerlain don't like using the word Oriental anymore, but back in the day they called it the first Oriental for men. Now they're calling it the first ambery fragrance for men. It's essentially the brand's Shalimar. So it's a sort of a leathery amber perfume with a very, very marked citrusy note on top. But what they did was for the men's version, they made it less floral. I think they made it less bergamoty at the top, and they made it more leathery and much drier and somehow, I don't want to say more masculine because that's a sort of bit of a trite way of putting it, but well, I suppose drier is the word. It's more parched. There's something about sands and deserts and also icing sugar and sweetness that just makes original Habit Rouge EDT so special. I think it's one of the most sort of glorious olfactory statements on masculinity ever. So to go back to this thing of there are sort of two halves to the Habit Rouge universe. There's that kind of pure Habit Rouge EDT, and some of the flankers do still follow that. So a couple of years ago we had Habit Rouge Privé, which was a beautiful, and it has to be said, not massively different from the EDT, but a beautiful take on that sort of EDT style of Habit Rouge. But we've also had, probably since about 2009, when we got the extrait version of Habit Rouge, which was made by Jean-Paul Guerlain. The original was made by Jean-Paul Guerlain. We've also had this other strand that tries to make Habit Rouge heavier, a bit sweeter, a bit more gourmandy, a bit more about the vanilla. And also, I suppose, if we're allowing ourselves to be a bit stereotypical, a bit more Middle Eastern. So I have now decided that those ones we're going to call Habibi Rouge. So we've got some Habibi Rouge perfumes, and we've also got sort of classic Habit Rouge. And this is definitely a Habibi Rouge. You can trace Habibi Rouge's DNA. I'm going to keep saying it until I stop laughing about it. We can trace Habibi Rouge's DNA back to the extrait from 2009. It's also it's also I'm glad that some people are appreciating my undergraduate humour, but I think Habibi Rouge is actually a pretty good way of putting it. What does Habibi mean, says Gavin? Okay, Habibi is Arabic for dear or my darling. Habibi is when you say it to a man. Strictly speaking, you should say Habibti if you're saying it to a woman, but I think you can also say Habibi to a woman. And it's just it's used a lot in the Middle East, almost like the word mate is in the UK. So you could, for example, if you're talking with a guy, you could sort of say, come on Habibi, or let's go Habibi. So it's basically my way of sort of saying that it's very, very Middle Eastern and quite Arabic. lots of laughter. I'm glad you appreciate the laugh. Habibi Rouge galore, says Alex. Say that 3 times really fast. Now I'm not going to try saying it really times. So yes, I'm okay. You're all laughing with me. Comes from the root word for heart, says Floating Man. Yes, thank you for mentioning that. I mean, there's something fascinating about Arabic etymology in that I think I'm right in saying, Floating Man, that all words can be traced back in Arabic to a root word, right? But anyway, let's not get into that. It's really, really fascinating about how Arabic vocabulary works. It is Buddy Rouge in the US. Okay, we could be Pal Rouge. So. This is definitely a Habibi Rouge perfume. And last year's Habit Rouge Parfum, because we don't have the extract anymore, which is a shame. I did like the extract. The extract hadn't gone full Habibi. These ones now go the full Habibi. Alex says, like, do you want some tea, love? Well, yeah, I mean, it's Habibi everything. I mean, you know, if you go to the Middle East, you hear Yalla Habibi all the time. So, last year's Parfum of Habit Rouge, which I wasn't crazy about, I preferred the Parfum of Vetiver, was also a Habibi Rouge perfume. And I thought that one went a little bit too heavy with the vanillas. But this one is interesting. This is, I think, the first of the recent Habibis that I can get on board with. When it started, I thought, oh, okay, here we go. This is going to be a kind of sugary, gourmandy, quite kind of thick, slightly overweight, slightly podgy Habit Rouge, and it does have that phase to it. But when it gets through the heart and is sort of at that stage where the heart is ending and you're getting into the dry down, that's when it becomes really enjoyable, because the sophistication comes through, and it's less podgy, it's less overweight, it's a bit less bloated and a bit less gourmandy than some of the other Habibis. It's the sort of the best of both worlds. So, and oh, I've been really naughty and I'm doing the pre-sprayed blotter. This is the one I sprayed out. Never mind, I'm doing the pre-sprayed one. This is the Habibi Rouge belly dance version, says Mitra Khan. Well, I think maybe last year's was the belly dance version. Now, what I also should have said is that apparently last year's Habit Rouge Parfum did extremely well in the Middle East. And so Guerlain are not going to miss a trick, and which is why I'm not surprised that for the Spirit one they've decided to go for something that harks back to last year's Parfum, that also harks back to dress code, you know, goes down the Habibi route. But I have enjoyed wearing this one, and I'm going to wear it some more. So this is the one I sprayed just a few minutes ago. It's still got that kind of citrusy freshness at the top, and pre-sprayed. Yeah, I think it's got enough woodiness and enough dryness and enough leatheriness in it to make you kind of forgive the slightly gourmandy excesses. Do they come out on a yearly basis, says Xabi? No, I mean, I think they have done lately. I don't know if there's a particular policy that Guerlain have, but when they stop selling, they'll stop doing them. What are you folks saying about it? Full Habibi with laughter. I'm so glad you appreciated that joke. Dahlia says, well fed Habit Rouge. Yes. And Gavin says, it's a chubby Habibi. This Habibi carries a Birkin, says Dahlia. Oh, yes. Very, very definitely. Alex says, the Parfum was the big voluptuous matriarch of the Habit Rouge. Yes, or patriarch, if you like. Chubby Habibi has to be the next flanker name, says Oriana. Can you imagine if they did that? I think they should. I think they should. EcoJock says, do you think the rise of the Middle East fragrance aesthetic is here to stay? Oh, gosh, for a while. And that's not a new thing. You know, that's not a novel thing. Anyway, let us see what what the brand says about it. They call it a parfum as well, by the way, which is interesting, okay? So they're not calling it an EDP or an EDT, which I think also shows that there is a connection with last year's release. So they say, the first amber scent for men in history and an iconic Guerlain creation, Habit Rouge is now celebrating 60 years of timeless seduction. To mark the occasion, the house is revealing a new limited edition variation, Habit Rouge Spirit. An unexpected... I mean, spirit doesn't work in French, does it? I mean, there is... that word doesn't exist, does it? So we've got an English-French name. Please correct me if I'm wrong. An unexpected encounter between Habit Rouge Parfum and 2 oak barrels, each boasting different olfactory properties linked to the age of their respective woods. Over time, the synergy of the wood and the formula's ingredients gives rise to new fragrance facets. Painstaking work then follows to find the ideal balance, an exceptional fragrance blend that offers the iconic Habit Rouge a new signature. An unprecedented expression of Habit Rouge's amber signature, this new variation has adorned its sillage with singular woody nuances with syrupy inflections. A masterful, spicy, leathery heart, blending the powdery notes of iris with warm nutmeg notes. The secret to its inimitable seduction, its amber base is structured around 2 luxurious vanilla essences, the Absolute and the Tincture, which I think Delphine Jelk mentioned in an interview with me that was posted on my Substack last year, that this tincture that they use at Guerlain, produced drawing on Guerlain's age-old know-how. Faceted with deep and woody oak barrel notes, this sensual sillage unfurls an elegant signature with a remarkable richness. And then there's a little bit about the bottle, which we don't particularly need to read. And there is a little bit about Delphine Jelk. It says that this inaugurates an unprecedented blending method to give a fragrance beautifully enhanced in oak barrels and infused with their characteristic woody notes. Driven by daring, Habit Rouge Spirit expresses the vision of a luxury that has become rare, time. You may be thinking of another brand in relation to all of these things that are being expressed here. This new variation develops its characteristic notes in prolonged contact with wood. A meticulous blending process then follows to find the ideal balance. Well, we've had that, etc., etc., etc. Gavin is asking whether we've got a mood board. No, I don't have a mood board for this one. You will be relieved to know. So let's smell the pre-sprayed one again. I think it works. I think it's the best one so far. Because they've dialed down the sugariness. Now, does that mean that it's not going to do as well in the Middle East as the Parfum did? Does that mean they're going to bring out the Parfum? I mean, it is infuriating that some of these are limited editions, but I guess they create a buzz around them. They sell out, so they probably know what they're doing with that. You know, a lot of us, a lot of the likes of you and me, will go out and buy these limited edition things. Pre-sprayed Habibi, says Alex, and then you retracted your comment. I wonder why. Does it have any similarity, says Space Star, to SDV? Oh, Spiritueuse Double Vanille. No. I mean, it is still Habit Rouge, right? It is recognisably Habit Rouge, but going down that Habibi route that we mentioned. Mitrakai says, Sebastian says it's not going to be a limited edition, so who knows? Oh, okay. Well, at the moment, they're calling it a limited edition, so I don't know. I think it works. It's not that romantic, beautifully dry stroke sweet gloriousness that original Habit Rouge EDT is. There's just something so timeless about Habit Rouge EDT, and I think it's the fact that it also the fact that it's so brave with the citrus notes at the top, and yet still really, really rich with the sort of leathery vanillic iris heart that just makes it so unique and so distinctive and so special. But that's the kind of thing that you only achieve, once in a generation. So given that we're not going to be able to very, very easily reinvent or recreate the gloriousness of Habit Rouge, this is definitely one of the better flankers, and it will remain in my collection. I've still got, and I enjoy wearing the Rouge Privé. As far as some of the other flankers are concerned, every now and then I will reach for dress code, but not very often. Actually, the one that I probably wear the most frequently after the EDT is the EDP. I quite like the EDP, and sometimes I will reach for my bottle of the Extra, but I'm I'm very, very careful with that because it only came in a small bottle and I don't want to finish it. How many Habit Rouges have you got, says Gavin. From the recent ones, I think I've got all of them, because I've kept them. I think I probably have got most of them. I've got, what I don't have, there was a flanker that came out quite soon after the original was released, because apparently the original was a bit of a flop when it came out. And then a few years after it came out, they did a version called Dry, Habit Rouge Dry. I've never smelt it. It would be interesting to smell that one. I've got quite a bit. I've got quite a few, but I'd have to go through them and let you know. Right, what are you folks saying? Alex says, I'm so thankful that Guerlain still produces the original. Absolutely. Mitrakai says, I have a vintage one from why can't I say that? I have a vintage one from Enchanted Perfumes on the way and can't wait to try it. Sanjot says, I wish I'd gotten a full bottle of Rouge Privé. It was an amazing scent. It was really, well, it is. Jules says, please do a video on the Italian brand Meo Ficini. I will do my best if I can get hold of some samples. Alex, I'm always interested in the new flankers, but I'm very happy that they don't mess with the original. That's true. And James says, glad to catch you and your Habibi musings live on a Sunday morning. I have doused myself in Habit Rouge in celebration. You smell extraordinary. Tracy, I changed my to hand shelf yesterday in foolish optimism that the weather might change with the daylight hours. Oh, I know. I mean, it's been sunny here, but still definitely a nip in the air. Okay. Thank you very much for watching. Habibis one and all. Think about that. The next time you go into Guerlain, think, is this an Habit Rouge or is it a Habibi Rouge? We need to make this catch on, folks. We need to make Habibi Rouge go viral to the point that somebody from Guerlain contacts me and says, I think we need to talk about we need to talk about something. Okay, we will be back in a few minutes with our next video, but until then, be good. Thanks for watching. Bye now.